I'll show this one. I don't think we did it on show on these, but we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Sorry, someone else had it.
I'm just curious about like when you start considering like the rehearsal of the actors. Do you also do blocking then, or do you try to block it beforehand in the rehearsal, give it some suggestions, and then we freehand it?
Yeah. So TV and features are different animals. For myself, for features, I try to rehearse as much as possible. So like when I was doing res call with Jessica, you know, I would have like certain scenes that are sort of like kind of like mileposts in the movie. That this is an important emotional scene that's going to establish the dynamic between Coach Jessica and Jimmy Slayer, right? So I wanted to rehearse that scene together. So we'll get in myself, Jessica, Kalchani, and then we'll just rehearse the scene. It could be 2 chairs in a room. But that'll give us like an emotional kind of jumping off point for where we want to go. It's like, okay, this is an idea of where we want to be at this point. That helps inform where we're coming from. That helps inform where we're going. So that's on the feature side. On the TV side, you rarely have time to rehearse, right? And so usually what happens, the typical sort of day on a film set is that I will arrive probably an hour before. I'll walk through the scene, walk through the space, look at the props, make sure everything's working, and then let's say our call time is 7 a.m. So at 7 a.m. the actors show up. The very first thing we do is we go through and just circle up and read that scene together. Just exactly the way we did. No blocking, no action, nothing. Just read the words. And then we have an idea of how we're going to go about it. So we read the scene together, and then I'll do private blocking. That's with myself and the actors, and then that's literally saying, okay, here's the idea for the scenes. We're going through it, and the thought is that the two, Laura and Good Eagle, are going to come in together, and you guys will come in and land at the barrel, and then Good Eagle, you're looking around, and there's a little red string that signifies where the present is, and you find the string. Okay, you push full string, and then you'll open it on the barrel, and then you see the stones, and the stones remind you of Julia, your sister that has passed, and then the two of you will have the conversation in here together. At the end of the scene, Good Eagle is going to want to show Laura something. So instead of coming back where we came from, let's go through Chicken Alley and go out to the main street because you're going to show her something special, right? And then so at the end, then we'll walk through and out. And then Good Eagle will lead, let Laura follow, and then let's try it, right? So then we'll do the scene again, and then I'll have Laura and Good Eagle run out, run to the barrel. They'll perform the scene together. And then at the end of the scene, they'll walk around and everything. And then when I get the scene to a place that I feel good about it, I feel good about it, the actors hopefully feel good about it, then I'll turn it over to my crew. My cinematographer will have watched the scene as well too. They'll begin lighting it, the actors will go back for hair, makeup, last touches, and then we'll go in and we'll set up to start shooting the scene. Typically we'll start with our master, moving for coverage, pick up any inserts after the fact. That's roughly. And then so you do that for every single scene in the day. That's basically the template. Just watch those people.
So what would you say are your top 3 crew members that are crucial to allow you to do your job on the day?
I would say my right hand and left hand men and women are my first assistant director, who is the person in charge of keeping us on schedule, on task, on our day. And the first AD has a very difficult job. Like their job is to crack the whip and keep things moving. Because you can get bogged down in a scene. I could spend all day shooting the scene, you know. Find all this these revelations in the character. Let's explore this, you know. And my AD is going to be there. He's like, we gotta go, you know. But they're also like your most important collaborator as well too. And my job as director is I want him to know everything, him or her to know everything I know, and I want them to know everything, and vice versa, right? So my AD, second is my DP, cinematographer. Same thing. I want them to know everything that I do, and vice versa. And we will have had as many conversations as possible coming into the scene. So ideally, my DP and I will have already walked through the idea of what I feel like the scene could be. So he, in this case, Prairie was a he, sometimes a she. He has an idea of how I want to block this scene, So he can already have like some lights kind of roughly in place. But then he's also my key collaborator because he's going to help me kind of be my devil's advocate for story, for emotion. And if I feel like I got something, he might come and be, well, did you actually get this or that? Maybe you want to do one more. Same thing with me. But they also are in charge of selecting the lenses, the camera positioning, so on and so forth. I'll rough it in and then we'll take it from there. Third is probably my production designer. Production designer, I'll have had many conversations with ahead of time. I don't see them on the day, meaning when we're shooting, but weeks before we've shot, they know that I want to use this kind of area of the scene, so they'll make sure there's no trucks or equipment or anything laying around, and they'll be able to dress this appropriately, make sure the barrel doesn't have like, laser etched stuff from 2026, right? So on and so forth. But they're crucial to getting everything set up there. So yeah, DP, AD, first AD.
And again, and as we spoke of, that's to set the mood and tone about the director's vision, more or less, right?
Yeah.
I have a question, and because we love to ask, we had Stephen Paul Judd also guest speak over Zoom about how do you navigate working with actors, knowing that every actor is different personality-wise. How do you adapt to each actor's process? Is it difficult, challenging, or do you find that more or less actors have the same process? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, we got scholars. You want the microphone for this story.
Every actor is a snowflake. All different, they're all unique. And so part of that, but that's actually a great question, right? Jessica has her own process. Nico has his own process, right? And so part of your job as a director is like, and this is what I love about filmmaking, it's a collaborative medium, right? It's not a singular form of storytelling. And I love working with all kinds of actors because like everyone will approach things differently. Like you have somebody like I did a show with Vincent D'Onofrio, right? He's a method actor. Like he gets into it. Method means like he doesn't break character, So we'll be in a scene, and we did a scene where he's got like beat up a guy in an alley as he plays Kingpin, right? It's like before the scene, he's getting ready, he's tense, right? He curses, right? So he like curses like to get himself riled up before a scene, and then he stays in character when we're done. So I'll yell cut, and then I gotta go in, and I'll whisper my direction to him, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and he's he's staying in character, and it's a huge exertion of energy and emotion, and I know I want to get right back into it again. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to go in, keep my direction short, keep it brief, and then let's roll right back into it, right? Whereas another actor may want to talk and discuss, like, well, this isn't quite feeling right. Is there something I can gravitate on towards? And then we might have a little bit more of a longer conversation, right? Other folks need space. Some actors can be in a scene and just talking away, small talk, and rolling, and then they switch into character, right? And it's just really, it's kind of just taking it on a case-by-case basis, and then I will kind of adapt and adjust accordingly. One of the great stories I remember reading was Sidney Lumet talked about, he worked with an actor who spoke in musical terms, right? They came from a music background. Unfortunately, Sidney had a music background. So with that specific actor, he would talk of like, let's play this in more of a B range, or let's think of this as a woodwind. I'm not a music person, but he would communicate with them in terms of music, right? So that's a little bit about you kind of take it on a case-by-case basis, right?
You just brought up a question for me. Like you mentioned getting notes. How do you give notes to your actors? Because you always hear about like actors getting a note that wasn't great, but how do you give productive notes, and how do you make sure your actor understands what you're actually requiring of them?
Sure. Some of it, I think some of it is practice. And I'm still like, I still screw up on a daily basis, right? All the time. As a general rule, I like to communicate. Well, I try to keep things short, right? For you all, if you're first starting out, if you have to take longer to explain yourself, that's fine. And if actor has a problem with it, it's fine. But it's important for you to be able to express what you want. For myself, something I learned early on was this idea of the as-if principle, right? Which is, if I'm talking to an actor, the one thing that is difficult to do as a director is to say, like, be angry, right? You can't be angry. Anger is a byproduct of something. So I will try to give my direction in an as-if sort of phrasing, right? So, okay, you're going to play as angry. Play it as if your boyfriend just broke up with you, you know, and you stayed up all, you waited dinner for an hour. You know, play it as if you just got stood up for a big meeting, you know. I'll use that. I'll typically kind of phrase things like that. And then I think the basic kind of terminology is also bigger, smaller, faster, slower, right? So like if we're doing, let's say I'm doing a master shot with Meeklin, right? And the camera's super wide, we're on a super wide angle lens, and Meeklin's like this big in the scene, right? And he's performing it. It's an emotional scene, but he's like this big on the screen, and he's playing it right, but I want to be able to see just a little bit more of his body language. I can go and say, hey, can we try one a little bigger with body language? And so his emotion will still be there, but because he's so small, if he plays it bigger with body language, that'll still translate when we go into coverage. And then let's say we go into coverage, and we're playing the same scene, and who's a very professional actor, will not do this, but let's say he's playing that same, we go in for coverage now, and he's still playing the scene big, right? I might go and say, hey, let's play it smaller now, because we're much closer on the camera to accommodate that. So on and so forth. Does that make sense? So I say, as if principle, and then your basic kind of like, if you don't want to say bigger, faster, smaller, or bigger, smaller, faster, slower.
Yeah, pacing it up is always like a really quick way of kind of like it's just kind of dragging. And you would say it, just pace it up, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like you take out the breath and you just you drive through it and it solves a lot of things.
Yeah, sometimes actors will they'll get
Yeah.
I want to go to the store, you know. Oh, that, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've gone from our page. We have a basic idea of how we want to shoot this, and we're going to do a shot list, and then we're going to watch the scene because we have Uncle Gary here. So I'll create a shot list based on this. I'll create a shot list, and this will be our master. I'll do second shot, which will be good eagle coverage. I'm going to do two sizes of that, a close and a closer. And then we'll go to Laura. We'll do Laura coverage, two sizes of that as well. And then we'll get our inserts, right? Inserts on the pebbles. Again, excuse my handwriting. Okay, so now we're going to the, hello, Uncle.